What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Guitar Wishes and your guitar wish of the day. And that's right, this is Lee standing right in the middle of the Guitar Wishes facility in beautiful downtown Lincoln. A lot of stuff going on, a lot of people walking in and out, some guitars being sold. We'd love to see you come on down and check us out if you have not. If you have already, come on back. You're like family. But today I wanted to show you an interview that I did just a couple of weeks ago with an actress that you're all going to know and love, especially if you're into guitars and have seen the movie School of Rock. This is Becca Brown, the bass player for the school's band. Here we go. I'd like to say hello and welcome to Rebecca Brown, and happy early birthday. I know it's coming up like in 8 days.
It's exactly in 8 days, yeah, and thank you. You can just call me Becca.
Okay. Becca Brown, and you're going to be 28. Yeah, are you excited? Any big plans for your birthday?
No, we're in quarantine, and I'm being pretty cognizant of the pandemic that's happening, and just gonna lie low for my birthday this year. I had a huge New Orleans trip last year for my birthday. That was incredible, and honestly, it's not gonna live up. This year's is gonna live up. I'm accepting that and knowing that it's okay to have a chill, subdued birthday.
Yeah.
By myself or with a couple of friends.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, we're from Guitar Wishes in Lincoln, North Carolina, and we've been around about 2 years. And when I take a poll of some of the most influential uh, musicals and movies that people have seen, School of Rock comes up all the time as one of the most influential. Actually, the producer who was hooking us up here, that's the reason he plays guitar, is that movie. And even as recently as yesterday, I showed my 11-year-old son the movie, and now he wants to learn guitar. I mean, how does it feel to have that kind of influence on the next musical generation?
It feels good. That's the part of it that I take away the most, like the fact that I get a lot of messages from girls and, people that are like, because I saw you playing that instrument, like it made me want to pick up piano or guitar or be a singer or be in a band. And that it makes me really happy. Anytime I see like a girl playing bass, I'm just like, we're out here.
Yeah. Well, you started at 4, didn't you? 4 years old, learning classical. Is that right?
Classical guitar at 4 years old. That was, So the story behind that is my parents decided for me that I was going to be a musician before I was born. I mean, they were just like, they kind of had motives, and I'm thankful for that because music is what I love. I love acting and music and writing and performing so much. I was always like grateful that they gave me an opportunity to be a creative kid rather than forcing me into like athletics or something, because I was completely bad at all that. But they gave me options of what instrument that I wanted to play. They were like, what do you want to do? Do you want to do flute, piano, violin, cello, guitar? And I was just like, violin was like the first thing that I went to. And I took like one violin lesson, tried to hold it, and was like, no, like this is not for me. And then I started turning the violin on the side and like strumming it.
Right.
And the teacher was like, she should play guitar.
Right. Now, was there music in your family? Did it kind of come from there as well?
I think my parents are both music lovers. My mom loves like Mariah Carey and Whitney Houston and all of the divas and Celine Dion, and my dad loves rock music and Motown and R&B. So I think they're just both like music lovers who, I think they just really wanted a musician child, and they got more than one now. Like my sisters and my brother, we're all a musical family. Now we all live across the country. Like my sisters live in New York and I live in LA. And my baby brother still lives at home in Chicago. But we used to do like a family Christmas video where all of us would pick up whatever instrument was around and just sing some holiday themed song and put it on YouTube, as instead of like sending out paper Christmas cards. It's more eco-friendly, right?
Sure. Absolutely. And so I guess, you were playing guitar that young, and you originally went on a show called, was it From the Top, I think was the name of it. And that's where you got discovered. Tell me about playing guitar at the age of what, 9 on a show like that. You had to be incredibly nervous.
I wasn't. I with guitar because it didn't involve me really. Um, I don't know. I think for a long time I really loved and stuck to the guitar because it was something that I could hide my, I could hide behind. I could like kind of protect myself. It was like a shield, but also like a sword at the same time.
Mhm.
And I was rarely nervous as a kid playing guitar in front of large crowds because I did it so often when I was, in very intense like classical guitar training and education. My teacher was really intense. She kind of was like, I was one of her first students. I was like her youngest student. She was 24 when she started teaching me, which is crazy to think that now I'm like 4 years older than she was when we met.
Sure.
And like, this is just a person that I've known for my whole life,
Mhm.
But she definitely, like, in addition to teaching me the optics of like playing guitar, also taught me stage presence, posture, like, how to do like a proper bow and all of that. So I kind of had this almost robotic, like classical, kid prodigy, you know, politeness that, you know, when I went to From the Top, which was a huge audience, it was like, I mean, I have no idea. My dad probably knows better than I, but it was a huge audience for me. It was probably one of the largest audiences I had played for at that time. And I just remember, being chill and just being like, yeah, this is just cool. Cause I think when I was a kid, I didn't process what a big deal that was to be invited on that show. But then there was an interview portion and they did this like little, because the most recent thing that had happened in my life was that I had lost the spelling bee in fourth grade, and it was like miserable. I was super socially awkward, like with kids. I had very few friends that weren't my blood relatives, or my guitar teacher, and you know, uh, I got on stage and they did this like fun little interview segment with me, kind of like a talk show, Tonight Show bit, and I guess that the casting directors heard that and thought like, what a charming little kid. And it ultimately led to me getting called in to audition. It was my first acting audition ever. Even school plays, I was too scared to do. Like, I kind of just was one of the kids in the like little school plays and stuff that like would sway in the background and like pretend to like sing along, but I was really like just afraid of having my voice be heard.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wow. I'm watching that movie again so recently. Um, Jack Black tells you to just keep rocking that G. The entire time you're doing that, you're probably thinking to yourself, I can do so much more than just rock this G. I mean, was that frustrating?
Honestly, being on set was so much more intimidating than being in front of a live audience for me, which is it's the opposite for me now. Like now I'm like so comfortable on a film set. I like love being on set so much. It's like where I feel my happiest. And honestly, because of the pandemic, like I haven't been on set in like since March, and I'm just really sad all the time, uh, because I don't get to be like in my safe place, but of course, because it was my first experience with that, working with a mega celebrity like Jack, you know, being on set with Rick Linklater, who directed one of the best like high school films of all time, and several other, just names that I was just like, I mean, obsessed with Sarah Silverman. I like wanted to be her best friend, and like we rarely interacted because we didn't have any scenes together until like the end scene in the movie where she like comes and outs Dewey as being a fraud. Like, uh, but like, yeah, just being around all these people, it was just exacerbated my like social anxiety and all of my like inner, saboteur. Like, I had like, I mean, nobody diagnosed me when I was a kid, but I was severely anxious and nervous as a child and
Right.
had all of these paranoid, like superstitious thoughts. Like, if I mess this up, like my family is going to disown me. They're going to kick me out on the street. I'm going to have to be adopted. I'm going to have to go into like foster care and be like little orphan Annie. Like, and truly that was all I was thinking the entire time filming. It was offset that I really thrived because it was like the first time I was interacting with kids who were creative and like nice. I went to like a really like I mean, in school when I was a kid, I was bullied just like immensely for being the weird guitar girl. So, like, being in a classroom, you know, of like minded kids, that community, that like family ensemble vibe really worked for me. But it was like, once the cameras were on, I was just like terrified. And I would look into Jack's eyes when he was doing that. Like, I remember specifically that scene because I knew the cameras were directly on me. I
Hmm.
was just in my head thinking, like, just get through it, just get through it, just get through it. Nod when he, talks to you so the camera knows that you're listening. And so the director knows that you're listening. Just be perfect, just be perfect. And like, it all, is just a symptom of my anxiety, you know?
But Jack, the professional that he is, was he instrumental in help leading you through that?
1000%. He, I think because at least for the musician, kids, me, Joey, Kevin and Robert, like it was a lot of, and even some of the other kids, like it was a lot of our first gig. And so a few of us I know we are still friends and like we all talk and have group texts and whatever. I've really connected with a few of them like over the years and become like ride or die family friends. Like, but
Right.
a lot of us have this shared experience of it being like our first film and like just desperately not wanting to mess up and having Jack Black there. Number one, he was never like, when the cameras were on, he was goofy and silly. And then like when the cameras were off, he was still goofy and silly. He didn't like run off to his trailer and just be like, F these kids, I don't want to be like, he was just really like, this was his passion project. So he
Mhm.
of course was stoked. Oh my God, ew, what did I just say? He was of course like, it was I think a combination of like stoked and psyched. So
Right.
it got weird, sorry. Um, he was just obviously psyched to be there. He was in love with all of us. Like we all were in love with him. We just were this happy like ensemble of people, you know. And his presence I think did ground me for sure. I can't speak for the other members, but like you know, I remember Robert Sy, who played Lawrence, the keyboardist, who's amazing. He was, I think, equally like anxious. We were both like, I mean, I think it's like honestly like an Asian mother thing. Like both of us have Asian moms. So like there's a lot of pressure there to be perfect A+ students. And we internalize that and take that and just like go on these like little spirals, even as little kids. Like, and I just remember Jack and Robert like bonding super hard over that because like even that all of the emotions in that scene where he's like, I don't think I don't think I'm cool enough. I don't think I like, I'm good enough to be in this band. And Jack's like, hey, dude, you're the coolest person alive. Like, I'm paraphrasing, but like that was real. Like,
Mhm.
the moments of laughter on set, like where you can see all the kids just like absolutely losing their minds laughing because Jack did something we weren't expecting. That's all real. That's like 100% genuine, you
Wow.
know? Yeah.
Wow. And I want to move on, of course, from you've done so much since, but just another quick question about School of Rock. Is it true that you had the flu the day of the performance?
Baby, we was making straight A's, but we were stuck in the dumb days. Don't take much to memorize your life. I feel like I've been hypnotized.
Yes. Yeah. I do remember like being severely, I mean, a group of kids, it's a cesspool of germs and we all like we were very close. We were very huggy, very, you know, we were
Mhm.
all in love with each other. So we would like go off and like snuggle each other and whatever. We would play, you know, like Ouija board in the dark. It was just like a real, we really loved each other a lot. Like we were a big family. It was also like a reality show behind the scenes. But yeah, like I remember there was never a time on set where there wasn't at least one kid who had the flu.
Mhm.
But because we had to get the scenes done, like we kind of just had to live through it and just like be very careful and wash our hands and like quarantine away from the other kids as much as possible. But I was I was like deathly ill during the shooting of the Battle of the Bands for the first couple of days. I remember having to really muscle through some of it. But they were, I mean, my mom was just pumping me with fluids. Like at that point, like we would go back to the hotel, matzo ball soup cures all, like, you know, just literally, and you're in New York, you know, matzo ball soup is everywhere. And
Mhm.
it is the cure for all diseases, I believe, including coronavirus. Oh, sorry.
That's
I'm
okay.
so sorry. My thing was not on do not disturb. Sorry. Where can I find you? Oh no. How do I go back? There I am. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm so sorry about that. Let me just, yeah. So sorry.
No, that's okay.
Yeah, I was extremely ill, but my mom was like, "You are not going to miss a single day of work." And I, of course, was like, "You're right." So yeah, I mean, I remember for the last couple of days of shoot, because that was like a week-long process of getting in and out of that hair and makeup, that ridiculous costume, which I loved, you know, doing that. But that was like literally in a week-long process of shooting all of the coverage for that, you know, kind of stretch of scenes.
Right.
But on the day of the actual like big, like, you know, we're gonna get all the coverage of the song,
Right.
I had rallied and pulled through, because the first couple of days we had just got the backstage stuff and the like no vacancy bit and like all of the stuff with like Joan Cusack.
Right.
But
Right.
once the performance came around, like I was, by some miracle, you know, by some Jewish miracle, I guess, all better. That matzo ball soup cured me.
Did you get to keep anything from the set?
I really don't remember. My mom would probably know. I definitely walked away with like 2 full photo albums of like disposable, like, you know, pictures that my mom and like, you know, some of the other moms took on set. Like, and there were scrapbooks and, you know, I think I got to keep maybe some costume piece, but
Mm.
I really don't know. I wanted to keep the hair pieces so bad, but they were like, no, you can't.
No, what kind of bass was that you were playing? We were trying to figure that out earlier, and we're not sure.
It was a Hofner.
That was a Hofner.
Uh-huh.
Ah, cool. All right.
Yeah.
We didn't know if Gibson had some sort of deal, because you know the guitars were mainly Gibson that we saw, and so yeah, so a Hofner. Okay, that answers that.
Viola, Hofner, viola, something. I really don't remember the specifics of it, but I remember hearing viola, Hofner, and Paul McCartney.
Okay.
Got to keep a guitar strap. I did get to keep a strap.
Oh, there you go. There you go. That should be on the wall somewhere.
It probably is. It's like probably my parents are hoarders. It's probably in the garage somewhere.
Oh wow. Well, you know, I was fascinated that after School of Rock, I heard about a tenure at Second City in Chicago. You know, Second City is legendary.
Oh yeah.
And tell me about Second City.
Well, when I was in college, I was a major in theater. And prior to college, in high school and even in middle school, I was okay, let me backtrack. After School of Rock, I came back to school, was still bullied, transferred schools. It got so bad that my parents had to pull me out. They transferred me to another school in which there was a musical every year. They had a budget to like put on some musical theater review. And I, for the first time, got on stage and sang a solo in front of an audience, which was wild. I had kind of broken out of the anxious, nervous shell a little bit, because I had learned that on set, I had learned that I could sing.
Mhm.
I had never tried it until we did like we cast would go to Broadway shows, and then we would also do little karaoke parties, and I became obsessed with Broadway. So I wanted to be a musical theater major for college, but ultimately the schools that accepted me were too expensive, and I ended up enrolling in a city, like a Chicago state school, University of Illinois Chicago, which had a theater program but not a musical theater program. When I was a senior at UIC, I started going to Second City because they had a musical improv class that I was just like, I think that would be really fun. Like, why not? And I tried out and I got in, and it's like a musical theater mixed with improv. So you're basically making musicals up on the spot.
Mhm.
Conservatory for like a year-long program, culminating in a sketch show that your group that you're with writes.
Right.
And after some of the producers at Second City like saw me in my, a musical improv like final show, and saw some of the material that I had written, like I had written a like Salt and Pepper, like TLC number, as like Dorothy from Wizard of Oz, and like Wendy from Peter Pan, and who was the other one? Alice in Wonderland. The three of those girls, like, and it was kind of like a girl group number about how like male authors like infantilize women and put these little girls in danger and all that. And Second City loves like social and political satire. They saw that and were like, you're interesting. Like your point of view is different. And so around that time, I had graduated college and was like auditioning for plays, doing plays here and there. But Second City had started this diversity fellowship called the Bob Curry Fellowship, which is like essentially an 8-week intensive where they pull talent from Second City and IO, rest in peace, and Annoyance, which are the like kind of triumvirate of Chicago comedy institutions. They pull their like best talent who are people of color and like LGBT performers, and they form a kind of group of fellows to go through this like 8-week intensive crash course on how Second City does this and how they write, and learning the process. And so after that, I worked there for a couple years. Like I would do these little one-off gigs where I would like go to the suburbs of Chicago and perform for a corporate like event, do like a mini Second City show for some medical supply company. And I also got to, perform some of their archival material, like written by Tina Fey and some of the old greats of Second City. It was dope. I mean, I had a really good time. I met some of my very close friends there. Now in the era of 2020 and people learning things about society that people of color and women and LGBT folks have always known like to be true. There's a lot of exposure on some of the problems structurally within Second City and other comedy institutions, and luckily like I have been a part of like the like community that is trying to fix that. Right. And I'm really, really grateful for the time that I had there, but also like I am glad that I am now several years like distanced from that. But sure. I learned a lot. Like I love Second City and will always be thankful for it.
Yeah, aren't they the one of the meccas of learning improv?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And tell me about now. Back when you were young and you're 4, 5, 6, 7, when did you write your first song? Do you remember writing your first song?
I personally do. I remember writing a song about how love can change and heal the world when I was like 5 or 6. I wrote it in a little journal. I don't remember how it goes. I just remember writing. I wrote a lot of poetry when I was a kid. I was very dramatic. I always journaled. I always had a diary of some sort where I would just like get out all of my icky thoughts like on the page. But I do remember writing a song about war not being the answer and being like, it was really sweet. Like it was just like love will cure the world of all of its illnesses and poverty. And yeah, it was, I like get kind of, I'm like, oh, like respect like to that little girl who like was so like aware of some of the stuff that was going on. I think because I grew up in the 90s and early 2000s, like I was very aware of the AIDS, you know, crisis and my dad kind of taught me about that via Forrest Gump, Rent, and Freddie Mercury, who Freddie Mercury was a big idol of mine when I was a kid. So learning that he had died of this thing that was so, you know, powerful and cunning and, you know, killed off so many, you know, people of color and gay people. And my dad, you know, told me about all this stuff, maybe too young, I don't know. But I was just like, how could people like let that happen? And I was such a nervous and emotional kid that it was just like, I have to get this message out. Mm-hmm. And I wrote this song that I, of course, showed to nobody, like, because I was too shy. But I do remember, like, writing it.
Well, do you, you know, if that's the case, you know, because I'm a huge Rent fan as well. So when No Vacancy was in School of Rock, I mean, how was it meeting Adam Pascal?
I was in love with Adam. I still am in love with Adam. And you know, I just remember him inviting us to go see him on Broadway because he was doing Aida on Broadway while we were filming. Mm-hmm. And we got to see him. And it was just like, wow. Like, that I think for me was when I was just like, I want to be an actor forever. Like, because you can go from being on film set to doing a Broadway show, like all in one day.
Yeah.
And having that experience now of like, you know, because after Second City and stuff, I mean, I went on to do some like pretty intense like theater contracts that were like sometimes 8 shows a week. And I was so like, I just love performing so much that like sometimes I would do my show, you know, get out of wigs and makeup and costume and then run to a bar like, you know, 15 minutes away and do a stand-up show. Right. Or, you know, there was, I mean, during 2019, I worked my ass off and I was like, oh, sorry, can I swear? I don't know. Sorry, you can bleep it. In 2019, like I was doing 2 features back to back. And on the last day of filming for one of my features was my first day of filming for the second of the features. And I just remember going from one set to the other and feeling this state of like, hell yeah, like this euphoria of just like, this is my grind. Like, this is what I am meant to do, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So tell me about the project. I'm of course with the COVID and 2020 and everything going on, you know, productions are at a standstill, but I'm sure you talk about productions that you miss being on set. What do you have coming up that we can kind of try to keep tabs on and maybe see down the road?
I'm really glad you asked. I am writing because like you said, like there's, you know, production's at a standstill, but that doesn't mean that I don't have to, that doesn't mean I have to stop creating. And I've been sitting on some material, like I have written a pilot that is, you know, a semi-autobiographical thing about like my relationship with fame, my relationship with my mom, and my relationship with myself. That has been in the works for a couple years. And, you know, myself, I've been in the works for a couple years too. Like I've been doing over the last 3 years, immense healing, you know, through, you know, trauma therapy and like, you know, just getting on medication for my crippling, or I shouldn't say crippling because that's a little ableist. My like severe anxiety that, you
Mhm.
know, I've been the as I change and grow as a person, the work that I write changes and grows. So like when I started writing this pilot 3 years ago, I was still like heavily, drinking and in toxic relationships with men and partners and whatever. And now, like, 3 years later, I'm sober. I've got like, a lot of different tools that I've been working on harnessing to just like be the like superhero version of myself that I saw that could, as a kid, wanted to heal the world from all of its illnesses. And it's like every day that I, don't drink or don't like go back to my old habits, like I am closer and closer to that person who, my inner child wants me to be.
Right. Right. So a pilot about becoming the best version of you that possible. That's
Oh
a
yeah.
it's a beautiful idea.
Thank you. Yeah, I know
I love that.
you see a lot of these like, semi-autobiographical, you know, uh, pieces that are written by, strong, strong women, like, Fleabag. You've got Insecure. You've got, I May Destroy You now on HBO, which is so good. And I kind of just want to join the ranks of like, female filmmakers who are just telling their story because my story is one that a lot of child actors and actresses go through, and I just want that awareness.
Sure. I love the fact that you're digging deep and you're not holding back. And for all the kids who see you in School of Rock and see the success, and as you said before, you can rock the world on a stage, and you can play guitar, and you can play bass, all the way up to kids who are in their 20s who need a little guidance. You're going to be helping those people as well, and that's an amazing thing.
Thanks. Yeah, I feel good about that. Like, it's been I don't know, like it's been a constant battle in the last, I think, in the last 5 years. Like for me, it's been a really uncomfortable battle with the inner saboteur that tells me that the only thing that people are going to know me for is this movie that I was in when I was a 10-year-old kid, didn't even know what was happening. My brain couldn't process anything aside from like, we're getting free ice cream, and don't mess up your lines. And like now looking back at it, it's like, okay, but like I can be my own barometer for success. I don't have to take everything so personally, and I can be a lot less, you know, I can be more grateful. I can be, accepting of the fact that School of Rock happened. Like it is hard for me as a, nervous person, as a former addict, like recovering, to accept things that are already done. Like, it's been hard for me to accept COVID. It's been hard for me to accept, a lot of the injustice that's happening in the world right now. But, I got to focus on the things that I can change, the things that I do have control over, like writing a pilot, like healing my relationships with my family, and my former friends that I've wronged or that have wronged me. Like that's what I can kind of focus on rather than spiraling over something that already happened 15 plus years ago.
Absolutely. And
17 years.
isn't that crazy? And I just watched the reunion that happened a couple of years back. That looked like a lot of fun, and that was a killer bass you were playing, Gibson SG bass.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sounded great.
That was fun. I really love. Like, I mean, a lot of us hadn't seen each other since being at the like MTV Movie Awards in 2004. So like 2014. Like, or 13, whenever that was the first time like a lot of us had seen each other since filming, even though we had been like connected on social media. But it was also a lot of us like had just turned 21, so everyone was just like absolutely wasted. I mean,
You know what? If for anybody that's watching this who has not seen the reunion, go watch the reunion for the School of Rock. and listen to Becca's bass solo that you didn't get to hear in theaters, but you do get to hear it on that video, and it is really, really good.
Are you just saying that to be nice? Because I felt like it was bad.
No, I loved it, and everybody here watched it, and we're like, why was that not in the original version?
I'll
But
tell you, I did absolutely that. Well, that summer leading up to the reunion, I was playing bass in a band and had been practicing, getting better at solos, because I had a complex over having a solo and then having it be cut from the movie. Because a lot of people don't know this. I did get a solo. It's just that it was so bad that it got cut. And I am 100% serious. I will, stick to that. But for the reunion, I still was nervous, and I didn't have because I promised myself I wouldn't drink before performing. That promise was broken many years after that, but I didn't have that liquid courage yet in me to just say screw it and just go. And I had a very rehearsed solo that I messed up. And so in the video, you could see the moment of panic in my face where I'm just Jack, you better start singing right now. You can see it. I think you could probably find the timestamp and make a GIF of it. It's so obvious in the video. And I'm literally just start singing. Just start singing the chorus again, please. It truly, I ripped off, I think, Queens of the Stone Age solo from one of their songs, and kind of just modulated it up the key, and just prayed through the entire thing.
It was great, and I want everybody to go find that and comment and let her know how great that was. And people don't know that you're such a great singer too. I mean, I was listening to "Forget Your Name," and that's a song that you've written and made a video for recently.
I did, yeah. So I was on a competition comedy show called Bring the Funny last summer, and with some of the earnings that I made from being on that show, I was just let's make a music video. And I grabbed some of my close friends from Chicago who are in comedy and film. One of my good friends, Cassie Ayers, and I just gave her a bunch of money, and I was just do whatever you want. I don't care. Just you come up with the mood board, the story, all of that. And you can do the casting and whatever. We can just have fun and shoot at a friend's house, and I'll bring a bunch of snacks, and it'll be a fun time. And I got to live my Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey fantasy, no pun intended, that I, wanted, that my mom wanted for me too. I think ultimately I would love to be a pop star. I would love to live that life. And shooting that music video was one of the most fun days of my life. I had complete artistic, power over what I wore, what, footage we got, and it ended up being so fun and so funny and turning out so much better than I ever could have dreamed it would. And that's because I was just hey, let me hit up my director girlfriend who just kills it every time. And yeah, things really worked out.
I think it's great, and we're going to add a link to it down below this video. So anybody who's watching this, please go check out that video for "Forget Your Name." You're really going to like it.
I hope that you do not resent me for this. We've been talking 10 minutes and I still have no clue.
And before we wrap it up, where can people go to find out more about what you're doing? Is there the online presence? How can people find out more about Becca Brown?
People can find out more about Becca Brown at Becca Julia Brown on Instagram and Twitter. Instagram is where I post the most, and I'm also recently, because I love to be cool to the younger kids, is I'm on TikTok, and I am proud to be on TikTok. TikTok is amazing. I have learned more on TikTok than I had in college, and truly, it is an educational platform. Mm-hmm. And on TikTok, my thing is at the Becca Brown, and yeah, Insta, Twitter, I'm on Cameo if you want a personalized like shout out for your birthday or your anniversary or your divorce. Like I will shoot a cameo for you. And yeah, to keep your eyes peeled on all my projects, yeah, those are the places you can find me.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time today. It's a pleasure for me. And if you are ever in the Lincoln, North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina area, we would love to have you here at Guitar Wishes and Sound Factory Studios. We'd love to have you come in and take a tour of the place, and we'll maybe have it catered, have a party. Be a lot of
Oh
fun.
yeah, absolutely, 100%. I've been wanting to come to Asheville because I've heard that Asheville is is that in North Carolina?
It is. It's about 80 miles from where I'm at right now. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, I've always wanted to go to Asheville just because I've heard it's very like spiritually like witchy and cool. And that's kind of my vibe.
Asheville is a beautiful city, a beautiful mountain city, and you would love it there. Absolutely.
Hell yeah. Well, thank you for having me on.
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to invite my producer Hayden to come in and stop the recording now. But again, thank you so much from everybody here at Guitar Wishes and Sound Factory Studios. We're excited to put this up, and everybody go check out Rebecca, the sites that she mentioned, and happy early birthday.
Thanks, dude. Thank you.
Take care.
Later.
Bye-bye. What a great time I had talking to Rebecca Brown. Just a sweet person, and I really appreciate the time that she spent talking to us and telling us the great stories about working with Jack Black and everything that happened on the set of School of Rock and everything afterwards. Go check out her site, bookbeccabrown.com, and you'll see all the stuff that I'm talking about, her music, her videos, her comedy. She does a great job. And again, thank you so much to her for her time. If you want to know more about us here at Guitar Wishes, check us out. Of course, guitarwishes.com. Check out our Facebook site and like and subscribe to the YouTube channel for new content uploaded daily.
Cruising for a bruising.